Thank you for turning to page 121. Welcome back to page 121. I know what you're thinking. Hey, wait a minute. You're an AD&D guy. First edition. What the heck's the third edition book doing out there? Well, I'll tell you. Third edition has a lot of application to AD&D. As I've said before, I use AD&D first and second edition pretty interchangeably, although I still play under the straight AD&D first edition rules. But third edition offered a lot of depth and life to stuff that had come before it. In this case, Drow of the Underdark. It was published by Wizards of the Coast in 2007, and this is actually not a third edition book, it's a 3.5. An important distinction for those who played third edition. I've read a ton of third edition stuff, the core rules, and many books just like this one, and it's got a lot of applicable information for AD&D players. I own many third edition books, and frankly, adopting third edition, even spells, to first edition just isn't that much of a challenge. I've done it in a little pamphlet that I made a few years ago. Maybe one day I'll do a video on that, where I adopted about 20 or 30 spells into first edition. But for right now, I want to talk about Drow of the Underdark. This book is important to me because, as you see, it's not world specific. As a lot of you probably know, D&D 3rd edition and 3.5, if it wasn't world specific, the default world was the world of Greyhawk. Because of that fact, there's a ton of Greyhawk information in these books. That's what started me buying them and kept me buying them all the way through the end of 3rd edition. Drow of the Underdark is particularly useful because, being a non-named world, everything in here is based on Greyhawk. And these are your traditional Drow, evil, having lost the fight against the elves and been forced to below the surface, and setting up their evil civilization far in the Underdark, and all the other fun stuff that comes with that. I like my Drow like this. I like them worshiping Lolth. I do occasionally have my Drow popping out doing the worshiping of the Lord of Elemental Evil, or maybe even another Drow deity, but for the most part, my Drow worship Lolth. In fact, my players have gotten so tired of Drow in my game that I'm on a hiatus from Drow. I miss you, but I promised I'd lay off of them for a little bit. But I do want to do this video. This book, again published in 2007, is absolutely beautiful. The interior artwork is excellent. And what this book does is gives a bunch of information on how to be a Drow, how the families interact, what the clergy does, what daily life is like, that sort of stuff. The religion, the rites and rituals of Lolth, when you can get in trouble with Lolth, how you get out of trouble with Lolth, the priestesses that rule the Underdark, and their main city. So there is tremendous depth that you can bring to the Drow through this book. And really, it's just great inspirational reading if nothing else. Even if you don't adapt anything from this book, just reading it and getting inspiration from it is worth your time. The first roughly half of the book is devoted to being a Drow. Maybe about first third of the book is devoted to being a Drow. What it's like to live in a Drow city under Drow matriarchs with a Lolth worshipping state religion. It's just, if you're running Drow, this book is very useful. I'm going to take you to the part of a book that I find very Greyhawk specific, and it's a 3rd edition dealing of Erlhai Sinlu, the famous Vault of the Drow from the Giant series and the Descent in the Depths of the Earth. This is the 3rd edition adaptation of it and goes into tremendous detail. And most of the detail is not edition specific. So you're able to explore the Dark Gem and gain a ton of background information on the ruling families of the city and the areas within the city. All of it, again, is not really gender specific. Here, of course, are the Isle Serfs. That name should be familiar to a lot of people if you've read the old modules. That's where Eclavtra came from. In this iteration, she is a Catech Evil female Drow cleric of 24th level. Eclavtra is very powerful and has played a big role in my campaign for many years. So there's just a little breakdown of sites in the city, where to go if you're looking for armor, clothing. Beautiful map, very Underdark flavor to it, of the city itself. Errol Hysinlu is very important to old D&D, and I loved this updated version of it. With all the information given in this book for the city itself, plus the Drow, it's easy to run a Drow-based campaign. And I find this book very, almost indispensable whenever I'm running a kind of deep lore on Drow. As I said, unfortunately, my players have kind of made it known to me that it's time for me to relax on Drow a little bit. I don't know. It's been a little while. They might be coming back. Sorry, guys. I love Drow. But this book is 14 years old. It's available. You can find it in aftermarkets. It's on Amazon and even eBay. It's available at Drive-Thru RPG for about $14 for the PDF. And Drive-Thru RPG also has print on demand on this book. It comes as a soft cover with the PDF for about, I think, $40. Again, I want to say I do not work for Drive-Thru RPG. I'm just a happy customer, and I love having access to things that I otherwise wouldn't be able to afford or find. So, Drow of the Underdark, I recommend it unreservedly. A 3rd edition book and 1st edition gameplay. How dare you? Well, I dare. I use a lot of 3rd edition stuff. To me, if it's D&D, especially if it's the World of Greyhawk, I don't really care what its source is. I go ahead and I use it. So that's it for today's page 121. If you like what you've seen, please like and subscribe to the page, and I'll see you next time. Well, that closes the book on another episode of page 121. Please leave your comments below, and if you enjoyed what you saw, go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe to the channel.